Are you a fan of Brussels sprouts? Today I'm going to show you how to make them in a unique way. We're going to do a combination of pan frying them and roasting them. They're going to be super delicious. So let's start first with how do you prep one of these? They're like little cabbages, right? So what you're going to do is you're just going to take your knife and you're going to trim the end here. Just cut off a little bit of it so that, you know, it's just a little bit cleaner looking. And then if you like, pull off the outer leaves. Some people think it's bitter, so we'll pull that off, and I'll do it for both. Once we're done, you're gonna go ahead and slice them either in half or in quarters based on your preference. I just did halves today, and I've got all of them already washed off, and they're sitting in a colander ready for the next step. So when these go in the skillet, we're gonna prep the other ingredients. So I've got about 1.5 pounds here of Brussels sprouts, and this is our stainless mesh colander. So we've got all the Brussels here. Let's head over to the stovetop where you'll see what I've got already going. So I took half of a package of bacon and I cut it up and then I put it into my 12-inch cast iron skillet because we're gonna be cooking these in the bacon fat. So once your bacon is crispy, take it off like I just showed you and let it sit on your paper towel to absorb the extra fat. And then you're gonna leave at least 3 tablespoons here in the pan. So I can see it's nice and hot. I'm gonna go ahead and add all of the Brussels right to the pan. Ideally, you want them to be, cut side down, but we're just gonna kind of let it go here. I'm gonna see if I can get most of them. I've probably got a few extra in here than I needed, but it'll be okay. These are gonna roast in the oven. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to get them so they become a little bit crispy. Okay, we're gonna let that hang out and do its thing. Let's go ahead and get a couple of other things ready. So there's a few variations when you wanna make this recipe. I am gonna add garlic and shallots to the pan in just a little bit. You can skip that if you don't want to follow that step. So a shallot is kind of a funny shaped onion. They're kind of narrow and skinny. They look a little bit like a red onion, but they're not quite as spicy as them. So we're gonna go ahead and peel. And sometimes they look kind of like a big clove of garlic. Like I can see this one has what looks like 2 of them inside, okay? That's pretty typical. So you can use like about 3 shallots if you're gonna do a couple of pounds of the Brussels. So I've got 2 of them already sliced up, and they are going to roast, so they're not gonna go in the pan for very long, but they will add, there's a little bit of a peel there. I don't want that paper. Okay. I'm gonna use 4 cloves of garlic. Today I've already pressed 3 of them, and then to show you, you don't need to peel your garlic, just stick it right in your garlic press and give it a good firm squish. I'm gonna do it right on my mat, and you can see it's perfectly minced. So get my little cleaning tool, pull that off, and we're gonna add these to the skillet here in just a little bit. Okay. So you don't have to cook your Brussels sprouts until they're completely cooked through in the pan. We're just trying to get them to start to caramelize a little bit. So let's just take a quick look and see how they're doing. It shouldn't take very long. You can see they're already starting to a little bit. So that bacon fat is really what's going to help. And by stirring it up now, we're getting bacon grease. Okay, do you see this one here is getting nice and golden? That's looking good. All right, let that go a little longer. Now it's time to add those shallots and garlic. The first time I had Brussels sprouts, they were boiled, and I just thought those were the nastiest things ever. I don't know about you, but if you're not a fan, it's just not very appealing to me at all. Okay. This is starting to smell really, really nice. And you can see the shallots give it some nice color too. All right. So we're gonna add a few, I'm gonna say glugs. I got this recipe from somebody in another cooking group that I'm in, and she referred to using glugs worth of balsamic vinegar. I know that's not a very good form of measurement, but let's assume it's going to be somewhere between 1 and 2 tablespoons. Use balsamic. I have this raspberry balsamic vinegar from the olive bin here in town, and if you like, add some of that because it's going to give it that little bit of extra flavor. So let's go ahead and add. We'll see how much is a glug, you guys. I think we'll add a little more. It almost looks like soy sauce. Ooh, that looks nice. So what's going to happen now is it's going to start to reduce and get thick. Give it a little coat. I wish you could smell this. So yummy. If you like this spatula, this is our fish spatula, but it's perfect for things like this. All right, I'm going to add just a little bit more. I love balsamic, especially on Brussels sprouts. So I've got my oven already preheated at 425 degrees. And really what you want to be watching for here is in the base of your skillet, you want to wait until that, that vinegar starts to thicken up. And so between the bacon fat and your vinegar, it's going to almost make like a reduction. So it won't take super long. And then if you want to go real fancy, I'm going to add some capers. You can skip this if you like. I don't even rinse them off. I know some people do because they're kind of briny. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of capers. This is a nice version of Brussels sprouts, kind of like for a fancy occasion, or if you just love to play with different flavors, you're going to love that. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper, and then we're going to go ahead and put it into the oven. The bacon is going to get sprinkled on top when it comes out, okay? As an alternative to bacon, you can use pancetta, which would be, you know, it's a little pricier, but it would be delicious as well. Okay, that looks really good. Let's turn off the heat, and then we're gonna put it on the stoneware bar pan. A stoneware bakes really well with roasting vegetables. Sheet pans work well too. Use whatever you have. So set this up close. So when you're roasting vegetables, the real recommendation is to make sure that you have space for everything. So if it's too crowded, it's probably not going to roast as well as you want. These are going to be delicious. So we're going to roast them for about 20 to 30 minutes. You're just going to test it with a fork and make sure that your Brussels are nice and tender. Most people don't like them if they're on the tender crisp side. So make sure you do just check them and add extra. You know, it depends. How big are your Brussels sprouts? Did you cut them in half or in quarters? So this is where you just need to kind of trust your gut a little bit. Okay, that looks fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna pop it in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes, and then I'll show you the final version. The Brussels sprouts just came out. You wanna see? They look gorgeous. So here we go. Nice and golden. I'll just add a sprinkle of the bacon from before. And this is going to be a delicious, delicious side dish. I love how caramelized everything is. Just beautiful. I hope you'll give these a try. Thanks for joining me.